Hello everyone, this is group P9 and in this video lecture we'll be explaining the topic instruction pipeline. So without wasting any more time, let's just get right into it.
A instruction cycle, also called fetch decode cycle, is a basic operational process in which a computer retrieves a program instruction from its memory that determines what actions the instruction decodes and carries out those actions. Steps involved in instruction cycle. The stages are as follows. First one is the fetch stage, second is the decode stage, third is the execute stage, and the fourth one is the store stage.
Procedures included in the instruction cycle. The first type of instruction in the cycle is fetch instruction. Like the name stated, in the process the CPU fetches the instruction from the memory. The PC gets loaded with the address of the instruction. Moving ahead, the second type is decode. In this process, the instruction gets decoded by the processor. In case the instruction has an indirect address, the effective address is read from the memory and fetches the operand from the memory. Then there is execution. Once the instruction gets decoded, the processor executes the instruction. And finally result, which stores the result in the appropriate place.
Alright, the next topic is cycle of fetch. Now, according to the definition, the instruction cycle's first step is to capture or fetch the instruction. This instruction in the fetch stage is captured from RAM and the memory is assigned to the processor through various units and registers. Let's take a better look at these registers. So the first one is program counter, whose work is to point towards the next memory line where the next instruction for the processor is stored. The second one is memory address register, also called MAR, which is responsible for copying content and sending it to the RAM. The next register is memory data register, also called MDR, which copies the memory address to the internal register. And finally, we have the instruction register, whose role is at the very last stage of the fetch cycle. The control unit in the IR copies the content for carrying out throughout the instruction cycle.
Cycle of execution. The data transfer from implementation occurs in two ways, which are as follows. The data is sent from the processor to memory or from memory to the processor. The processor input-output data can be transferred to or from a device. Vice versa, a processor output and input device transfer. The processor initial operations on the information during the execution cycle and the control consistently request a change in data implementation sequence. These two methods are linked and complete the execution cycle. The execution cycle interrupts the operation specified in the instruction. Accordingly, the cycle repeated until all the instructions are executed from the programs, and after the execution of the last instruction the instruction cycle get half.
Pipelining is the process of storing and prioritizing computer instructions that the processor executes. The processor executes all the tasks in pipeline in parallel, giving them the appropriate time based on their complexity and priority. Without a pipeline, the processor would get the first instruction from memory and perform the operation it calls for. It would then get the next instruction from the memory and so on. Means it must wait until it gets the next instruction. Pipelining reduces processor cycle time by simultaneously processing instructions and reducing the delay between completed instructions.